What's a good one? Go a little higher, Gary. Go! Look at that beast! Wow! There you go, Chase. Nice one. While Chase is unhooking that fish, we just want to invite you to come out and enjoy the 200th episode of The Next Bite. You know, we were talking the other night about all the things we've done over the years, and we thought, hey, let's just get out, do a little bit of shivering, and look at some things from the past.
We've always been a teaching show. We're going to review a lot of the things that we've done through the years, some of the techniques, some of the equipment, pick out some of our favorite shows.
Yeah.
This should be a lot of fun.
And as always, show you the next bite.
That's a good one.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, next bite. Just looking for the next bite.
And I tell you what, the monsters are in here.
You know, this is a popular fishing area with all these lakes around here.
The next bite. The next bite.
16 years and 200 episodes, yet not one time have professional anglers Keith Kavajecz, Gary Parsons, and Chase Parsons shared the boat together to film a series episode. Between now and that first television pilot, there has been a rich history of new techniques, industry-changing tackle developments, cherished talents, some gone too soon, all while giving our best to deliver pure fishing education and excitement.
So it's kind of appropriate that we're filming our 200th episode out here on Green Bay, one of our favorite places to fish. But what's really cool is that we're shiver minnow fishing today, and this is actually the area where shiver minnow fishing started. You know, just to the north of us, Little Bay to Knock is where Gary and I and Chase and Tom Kimos actually developed the technique of casting a shiver minnow, a glide bait, and working that back on structure and catching a lot of big fish. But one of the places that's even more fun than Green Bay to shiver minnow fish is a place up in Canada called Last Mountain Lake. I was fishing up there with a good friend, Jeff Stadnick. It's just like a Shangri-La for shiver minnow fishing. In the north side, we were fishing a big, huge sand flat that dropped off, and all we had to do was fish that edge and catch a lot of big fish.
Some would argue that walleyes don't put up as hard as a fight as other freshwater species, especially when they come up from deeper water.
These are some of the hardest fighting walleyes I think I've ever caught.
But the monster-sized walleyes of Last Mountain Lake have all but proven that not only are they aggressive in their strike, but determined to not go down without a fight.
The net is at the ready. I'll go on the other side of you here. You've got the tracer line on it. I can kind of tell how fast or how slow the fish is coming in because it's that bright chartreuse and it's dark every 5 feet, so it's kind of cool for fighting fish in. He's moving up. He's coming a little quicker now.
I think he's getting a little bit tired now.
He's got to be pretty close here. Oh yeah, there he is.
Flash.
Decent fish, good fish, good fish. Yeah. Very nice. Oh, look at that fish. That is a monster there. Not only does he got the length, but he's got the old girth to that sucker too. Oh my God.
There's a Saskatchewan walleye for you, Keith.
That is a beautiful fish there. And you saw him on the screen, huh?
Yeah, we marked him. I popped it twice off the bottom and bang, he had her in the belly on that
What
one.
color was that one? I know that was on that bloody nose, huh?
Yeah, that was another bloody nose one.
Look at that thing. I mean, this one here has got the length, and look at just the guts on these things. They're unreal how big they are. I mean, it's probably a pound or two bigger than a normal sized fish that length. I mean, they're that big. They look like almost like a pre-spawn fish almost. They're so gutty.
They're like this pretty much from July on. They get a little bit bigger in September, October as well. So
unreal.
Big fish here.
Big fish, lots of shad.
Big teeth.
Lots of teeth. Fish with teeth. Now I'll put her back in so she can get bigger in September because she looks great in August.
The Next Bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. And Power Pole. Total boat control. Closed captioning for The Next Bite is provided by Precision Trolling Data, the authority for crankbait diving depth information. We've had so many great past adventures that it makes it quite difficult to choose just one favorite. However, Gary has always really enjoyed trying to find something that is different or out of the ordinary to apply to his fishing. Walleye fishing is a forever changing landscape. To paraphrase Gary, a chess game. Between what they want and what you could potentially show them that they've never seen before. This has been his and Keith's core angling philosophy since they got their start coming up through the professional tournament circuits starting back in the 1980s.
I don't know how big he is because he only wasn't real far out from the boat when he hit. 10 feet out here, 20 feet out. Kind of, I don't know what the heck's the deal is.
Here he comes. He's all right.
He's hooked, double hooked. That's the problem. Little double hook.
There we go. We got him.
See what I mean by double hook? Yeah. In the mouth
and got a little bit of gill, yeah.
It's not the biggest one in the world, but when you get him double hooked like that, he gets plenty of torque.
They got some extra power on you when they're like that.
Through the years, we've shot a lot of cool shows with the Next Bite, but one that kind of stands out in my mind is going to Minnesota's Leech Lake. You know, a lake known for rigging on live bait fishing. Well, we were live bait fishing, but we were doing it a lot different than what people are used to. We were power fishing with slow death and just absolutely hammering walleyes.
Championship competition fishing secrets don't have to be complicated or even secret.
This hook has kind of opened up a whole new world for me. I bottom bouncer fish for 20 years and slow death probably for 10, but this super death hook with allowing you to use that full crawler, there is nothing better than just going back and then crushing them. You know, it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
He's good fish?
Yeah, you're gonna want the net.
I got one too.
You got him?
Yeah, he just bit right when I asked you about the net.
How does yours feel?
Mine's not giant, but
This is a good one, Gary.
I'll work back and get the net. It's decent, but it's not real big.
Definitely need the net for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yep. You ready?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me just grab it here. There's one. There's another. Yeah. Awesome. That actually might be a big slot.
Told you to get the net.
Yours is bigger than mine.
Yeah, mine's just over that slot.
Yeah, this might be a 19-incher actually. This is pretty cool. That was awesome.
We kept marking those fish on that little point, you know, where that little rock pile was, and you know, finally went through there and double. Get these babies back.
This has been an awesome, awesome time up here at Leech Lake. And Corey and I have done just about everything here. We're catching fish fast. We moved around to a lot of spots. You know, we got some big walleyes and ended up with a double like that, which is a lot of fun. Made me run around with the net and I almost started losing my breath.
You're not that old, are you?
Total Control, presented by Power Pole. 20 years of trust evolved from Total Boat Control.
Throughout the lifespan of the Next Bite, we've had the opportunity to be involved with many different cutting-edge techniques and great changes in the boating industry.
We've been really, I would say, blessed to be able to bring you the Next Bite shows and show you a lot of different fishing techniques, how to fish many different types of lures, and in some cases, we were lucky enough to even get a chance to help companies design lures so you can become better fishermen. It started with the flicker shads, then we progressed to the flicker minnows, and then went into the jointed flicker shads and the shallow flicker shads. This whole flicker family was built so that it would be easy for you to tie one of the baits on and catch fish.
Over the 16 years of the Next Bite, we've seen a lot of changes in the baits people use. And one of the biggest evolutions I think that I've seen is in the use of artificial baits. Now, Gary talked about crankbaits, obviously artificial. We've been doing a lot of shivering, that's artificial. But where you see it a lot also is the replacement of live bait going into artificial baits. I think the big advantage there is obviously artificials are more durable, but the other thing is you can get more colors and you can get a lot more actions in the tails or vibrations coming off of those baits. In the early seasons, we were using a lot of gulp. It was kind of a good replacement for live bait. But now, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, you're seeing tons of use of action tails. And what I mean by that is some kind of tail that puts off vibration, puts off action. I can remember a show that Trent Eichner and I did up on the Rainy River. Everybody else has got live bait. We've got these ripple shads there and we're just pounding big fish. We've seen where bigger action tails are starting to get used, bigger paddles, bigger twisters, bigger baits in general, 4 or 5 inches even. Gary and John Hoyer just did a show up on Mille Lacs, a very traditional walleye fishery, but they did something very untraditional. They took snap jigs and they added on a great big 4-inch gulp minnow to that to give this thing all kinds of action and cause these fish to bite the lure. So evolutions, we've seen a lot of them on the Next Bite, but artificial tails is one of the biggest ones.
You know, some of the things that come to my mind looking at the past is just simply the accessories that we've added to our boats to make it more comfortable on the angler and actually make fishing easier. Power pole, for instance, northern anglers, just a couple of years ago it really got popular, but the use of the drift paddle on those power poles has become just an awesome alternative to drift socks. And when it comes to comfort, I think about the suspension pedestals that we put in our boats, something like those Airwave pedestals we have, and then of course trim tabs, which kind of ties it all in with boat control and running spot to spot to spot. You can adjust that attitude of the boat based on your wind condition to get you there drier, more comfortably, but those are some accessories that have really changed the game.
You know, I was actually somewhat middle-aged before I started walleye fishing, and what's interesting is that most of the techniques and tactics that I learned back then was actually from tournament fishing. And so it was kind of a natural progression for us to start engaging some of the tournament anglers to get some of their knowledge, because quite frankly they're just really good fishermen and really know how to explain to people how to catch fish.
Yeah, I mean, some cutting edge stuff comes from the tournament guys, no doubt. Guys like Corey Springle and, you know, Brett King, who's currently leading the National Walleye Trails Angler of the Year as we shoot this show. Guys like John Hoyer, it's hard to match the skill level that those guys have.
Because I even think about, like, if I want to go out to the Dakotas, I think of Jim Carroll. But even if I want to go out there and maybe get a different aspect of things, I bring along a Tom Kimos. I brought him that time and he caught that great big one out in Sakakawea.
Yeah, Tom's a perfect example. I mean, such a knowledgeable angler.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Guys, now let's not forget about the muskie crowd. Guys like Ty said it. We already mentioned John Hoyer, Drake Hurd. I mean, those guys have done just phenomenal in big muskie tournaments. And honestly, it just reminds me of one of my favorite shows last year on Leech Lake with John Hoyer and Corey Springle. I mean, we're basically fishing a bucktail pattern over deep weeds. I'm throwing big rubber in the back of the boat last water, and I mean 5 fish in one day from 48 to 53 inches long, and almost having the big one hop right in the boat. Just an absolute riot.
Did you get the net?
Oh man!
Wow, that looks like a big one.
It's staying down, yeah.
It's a big one.
It's a big
That's
one.
a really big one.
Oh God! Yes!
Whoa! Wow, dude. Oh, that is a giant.
Wow!
Oh, I thought that thing was coming in the boat.
I don't even know what to do right now.
Are they biting pretty good?
All right,
well there's your 50
It's unbelievable how big its mouth was when it came up.
I felt the boat move and Chase set the hook, and I looked and his line angle was like just staying down at a 45-degree angle. It takes me a lot to get excited about muskies, but when I saw that ice cream pail size mouth, I literally was thinking mid 50-incher. By far the biggest muskie I've ever seen caught on Leech Lake. Truly a special fish, a natural Minnesota giant. You guys ready to see this thing? Yep. Look at this thing! What a giant! That is a mid 50-incher.
Look at the size of its head.
Wow! And it liked Medusas.
Wow.
All right, we gotta get her back.
Yeah,
this
let's
thing
get
is
her back.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Wow. I don't know if she could grow any bigger, but holy cow.
Just
What a giant. That is the biggest leech lake muskie I've ever seen. Holy cow. Look at how heavy that thing is for summertime. I mean, that looks like a November fish. I don't think you'll ever forget today. I think she's ready to go. She wants to go eat some stuff. Some real food.
Yeah.
Wow, it looks like a submarine down there.
Look at that.
Can you imagine if that thing followed you in?
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. Lowrance. Find, navigate, dominate. Precision trolling data. The authority in diving depth info. Strike King. A legacy of domination for 50 years. And Power Pole. Total boat control. Topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury. 16 seasons and 200 episodes of The Next Bite. Throughout those years, a great deal of things have changed. Not just for Gary, Chase, and Keith, but for anglers everywhere. And for the better.
Yeah, you take a look at something like our electronics, which are super important to us. They always have been. I was looking back at season 1, and we were actually running an LCX 104C. So we actually had color units, which was kind of a cool deal, helped us pick out fish better. But I think as units evolved over time, the biggest difference I saw, we started to be able to not only see just down below the boat with traditional sonar, we picked up things like structure scans so we could look off to the side. We picked up down scans so we could look down and see more detail, so we could see in weeds and see in trees and things like that. We even picked up things like now Live Sight, which allows us to actually see a live picture of what's happening down there out up to the side. So I can even hook up my underwater camera to my unit now and see it right on my display. So obviously with more information, we had to go to bigger screens. We're all the way up to 16-inch screens now. But the other thing that we put on those screens is mapping. And back then we didn't have any mapping. The really cool thing now is that you can actually overlay your own maps, create them right on the go with Genesis Live.
I mean, let's even talk about how the boats that we've run have changed over the last 16 years. I mean, it was pretty much when I started about 16 years ago, and we were running the Tracker Tundra. It was a formed aluminum boat, and it's really kind of morphed into what we run now, which is the Nitro ZV21, a big, heavy fiberglass hull. I mean, it's cored, so the weight of it just makes it stable, makes it handle waves just phenomenally. And with the success of that, they've actually used that technology in that fiberglass hull to build a 19 and a 20 footer now as well. Brand new 20 footer we're really excited about. But also, you know, just to take a second and really think about how the Tracker aluminum lines changed too with the robotic welding. I mean, just the formation of the hulls is so precise, makes them super strong. You can take some of these bigger 18, 19 foot targas now and run them in the Great Lakes at times as well too. So just the way it's changed, and that ZV21 Nitro we run now is just one bad to the bone hull.
Speaking of bad to the bone, we've been lucky to run Mercury engines for the whole time that we've had the show. We started out with Optimax 2-strokes, and then the supercharged Verado came on the scene. State-of-the-art engine. We're still running those Verados. We started with 275s, went to 300s, 350s, and next year we're going to be running the 400 Verado on our ZV21s. During this time, in fact, in the last year or 2 years, Mercury came out with a brand new class of 4-strokes. V6 and V8 engines, they're perfect for the ZV20, the ZV19, and some of the Tracker models. So, like I said, we're lucky to have been running these engines for all these years. They get us to the fish, no matter if it's calm or super rough, we're out there on the water.
There's one, boys.
You got one, Chase?
Yep.
Does that look like a better one?
I don't know.
I thought you were a professional walleye angler.
Feels all right. I'll let you know when I see it. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good
Shiver
one, boys.
fish are just a weird deal.
Oh, you set the hook at first, sometimes you just don't know what you have until they get close to the boat.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good one, guys. Or he's got just a ton of heart. Like a ton of it.
Kind of like you. Kind of like you, Chase. Ton of heart.
So you're catching the ones with a ton of heart. Oh, he's a good one.
Good,
yeah,
nice. That's a good one. He is a good one.
You come back there for that one. That's a pretty big fish.
Yeah, right in the corner. Right where they should be. I'll tell you what, 200 episodes. We're just so happy we were able to do it. Hopefully we can do another couple hundred more. Maybe Chase will have to take over a little bit more of that. I'll tell you what, we've always really prided ourselves on not only just going out and catching fish, whether they're big or small, but trying to tell you about the techniques we've used, try and tell you how we found the fish, you know, and how we trigger them to bite. So hopefully you can take some of the stuff we've taught you over the years and get the next bite.
Now here's a definition of toughness. Tractor's all new, all welded aluminum hull. Not only is it an all welded hull, but it has some extra characteristics built right in for better performance and a dry ride. Let's show you what some of those unique characteristics are.
One of the guys at the lodge told me that the sun doesn't go down until 1 o'clock a.m. and it rises again at 3 o'clock a.m.
Well, the good thing is that means you can get up just as early as you want to go fishing and fish just as late as you want to, but the really good thing is stopping in the middle for shoreline.
Through their tournament successes, research and development, they're innovators. They're always eager to try and experiment. They're willing to share that expertise. It is no doubt that legendary angler status is bestowed upon Keith Kavajecz and Gary Parsons, and it is my great pleasure to be involved in this and congratulate both of you very much.
Tell you what, it's got the performance of fiberglass with the toughness of aluminum. It gets our seal of approval.
There's never been anything like it in the past. This is the future of fishing. Keith, I'm cold. Let's go get some coffee. Well, then can we take it for a ride again? All right.